Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Starside Chat. I am one of your hosts, Zach Owens, and joining me as always is Aaron Cappo.
Hello.
And it's an exciting episode because we are recapping the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase for 2022 during Summer Games Fest. I really enjoyed this show. I think there was a lot of good stuff from pretty much start to finish.
I agree.
I don't know if
very good.
Yeah. Definitely rank this above Summer Games Fest Showcase.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately, yes.
The PlayStation one as well. I personally,
Leagues ahead.
Yeah, put it a country mile ahead of both of those shows.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't agree more.
Maybe that's just because I am not a super huge fan of survival horror stuff. But maybe if you're bigger on that, you might have be leaning towards the Sony one. But this show had a lot to it, a lot of very cool stuff, and I think it's really starting to show like the power of all those studios that Microsoft bought.
It's
I think
impressive. I mean, like, should I buy an Xbox is my question.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like I should.
We're very soon going to start seeing some of that all come together for Microsoft, and we're going to have quite a lineup of games available on Xbox Game Pass even. So
they made a big point of saying, like, hey, most if not all of these games are going to be available day and date with Game Pass. So like, it's like an insane proposition to own an Xbox and not Game Pass at this point.
For sure, or even a PC.
Yeah, really.
I've been playing Game Pass games on PC for a while now, and yeah, just like watching all of these trailers for games that I'm like, that looks cool. Maybe I wouldn't buy this, but since I can just download it for Game Pass, I will play this game. Sure. Yeah, so it was exciting every time I saw a trailer because I was like, this is something I can play without spending additional money.
True.
So there's that going for it. And they also said that everything that they were showing was supposed to be playable within the next 12 month.
That's very, very important.
Very important that you recall that bit of information as we go through this list of things that they talked about. Which maybe leads me to believe that this stuff that we're going to see on the next showcase that they have, because they do have two. The next one's coming on Tuesday. We're recording this on Sunday just after the first showcase. So maybe the stuff they're going to show in that one is more than 12 months out. Maybe
that actually is very... I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's smart. I think probably that is... Because like we were talking about this before we started recording, we both expected them at the end of this to be like, hey, stick around.
Here's what to
we're
expect.
Also doing something on Tuesday. Yeah. But they did not. They were just like, hey... Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And without a mention of there being another thing on Tuesday, which is crazy. But you're probably right. That is probably the demarcation point, is they're probably going to say, like, this is the future or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe we even see something like another teaser for Elder Scrolls 6 or something like that. You know, something that would be further out.
Icing on the cake. That would be insane to see. Because we'll probably talk about this at the very last, but a lot of Starfield information.
Yes, very exciting. But we can start off with what they showed first, which was Redfall, which is coming in 2023. What'd you think of this gameplay? This is from the Dishonored and Prey developer.
You know, I'm not as interested in 4-player co-op experiences, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the youth of today are. Maybe the youth who have been... trapped inside for 2 years.
People do love that whole Left 4 Dead style, like co-op survival thing.
True.
And that's what this is, except more of a vampire theme.
And everybody has special power. There's like hero characters.
Yeah. So it's just sort of a different, I guess, take on that Left 4 Dead style co-op survival game. I don't think I will play it, but
no.
I mean... I didn't think it looked bad. It's just not really my cup of tea. But the very next thing, I know you were very excited about. So
now, Zach,
why don't you tell us about it?
I made a day of this because like I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it easy this morning. I'm just going to relax. I'm going to order some food, and I'm going to watch this press conference and have a good old time. My pizza arrived during the Redfall trailer. So I got up and got it because I frankly did not care about Redfall. And then my ears perceived the telltale signs of what I believe to be Silksong. And I looked up at the TV, and wouldn't you know it, they were showing a new trailer for Silksong, and I texted you that I went Super Saiyan and I vaporized everyone around me because I was very excited. Man, oh man, was it a good trailer. And like we said at the beginning, everything shown, they claim, is playable within the next 12 months. So by June of next year, I will have my hands hopefully on Silksong. Unfortunately, they did not reveal a date. They didn't even reveal a year. So we don't even know if it's 2022 or 2023, which leads me to believe it is 2023.
I think we were led to assume that, it's probably 2023 since they didn't say 2022, but we know within the next 12 months. So probably spring or winter next year.
Very, very cool. It was 1 minute and 20 seconds, I believe, of footage, most of which was new. I spotted maybe like 2 scenes that we've seen before, maybe 3. But I'm sure many creators that I follow on YouTube are furiously writing scripts right now for their analysis videos of that like 1 minute and 20 second video. So very excited to see those. Maybe the Team Cherry Twitter account will perk up and give us more information. Hopefully this is the beginning of more annual, or just like, they were really good at, I guess, so Hollow Knight was originally a Kickstarter. And so because of that, there were constant updates like, hey, look at this concept art, or look what we're doing with this, or like, here's some planned things we have for the game. And there's not been that for Silksong because it's not a Kickstarter. It originally started out as DLC for Hollow Knight. And then they were just like, no, this is too big. The character of Hornet does not really work in the map of Hollow Knight because she's too big and can do too much stuff. So we're just going to make this a whole other game. So then they restarted development and it became a game on its own, but we have not really gotten that inside look into it. And so hopefully this is the beginning of them sharing more information if it is nearing release. But this was probably, frankly, maybe the most exciting thing that I saw, maybe above Starfield, because I really was not expecting to see this until a Nintendo thing, because the last time we saw this game, it was Nintendo branded.
Was it?
But it was like if you look up the first Silksong footage, it was shown at a direct. And so I thought it would be some sort of timed exclusive maybe on consoles to be Nintendo, but I guess that is not the case, and Team Cherry has decided that Microsoft is okay. I hope this does not affect the Switch launch, because I really want to play it on Switch. I don't think they said it was console exclusive, but
I have the feeling it'll launch on all of them at the same time. It just happens to be coming to Game Pass.
I was not expecting this at all. There was a leak yesterday by a leaker who I guess was correct about the PlayStation lineup, and he tweeted just like a picture from Hollow Knight that is a meme, and something about it being on Game Pass day one. And everybody was like, this is probably false, but wouldn't that be crazy? And in fact, it was real. And so... and the fact that they showed it the second thing was also just like, it blew my mind. So I'm super excited about this, and I'm excited to say more about it. Maybe we'll do like analysis videos of those analysis videos, but I'm very excited to learn more about this 1 minute and 20 second clip of all these things that we saw. I
almost think they could have positioned this as a one more thing and it would have blown people's mind. But
I agree with that. They could have definitely moved this to the end and it would have been amazing. But great to get it through first thing, I got to say. I mean, it could have preempted Redfall, in my opinion, because I don't know that anybody cares about Redfall. But yeah, great stuff.
So while you were high on life watching this trailer for Silksong, they showed another trailer for a game called High on Life.
Yes.
And I think this is the one where you have this like crazy looking gun that has like a face on it. And it's got like a really like cartoonish art style, like very bright, vivid colors.
Yes, this is from Squanch Games.
Are you familiar with them?
Yes. So this is that Justin Roiland, the guy who made Rick and Morty. I played the previous one, which is originally only available in VR, but I got the PS4 version because it was on sale once. I actually forget what it was called, but it centered around because it was made for VR. You kind of were in a chair and you were looking around interacting with things, but it actually translated pretty well to being on just a TV. And the writing, it was really funny because Justin Roiland, I think, is a funny guy. And it was also just very inventive as well. I think he's just got such a creative mind for different, like, interesting game mechanics. And there's that, like, just the old Justin Roiland talking at you in a weird voice comedy. It was very prevalent. And I wish I could remember what that first one was called. Trover Saves the Universe, I think is what it was called.
Huh.
I recommend that game if it is cheap. Like, if it's like $10 or $15, it's like a fun weekend. You can probably beat it within like 4 or 5 hours. But it's just really weird. You're basically controlling a little guy, and you can like look around at him, and he like sticks other guys into his eyes. It's an interesting premise, but this also looks like an interesting premise. And since it's not made for VR, more people will play it probably. But I don't know. I was into this. It looked funny and weird.
It did look funny and weird. It was definitely like, I don't think I've played a first-person shooter that is doing whatever this is doing. So.
Yeah, very unique. I'm excited to see. I think, if anything, at least it'll be a rare game where I play it for the story and not necessarily the fun game mechanics.
But that's coming in October, and of course, day one on Game Pass. And then they brought out Riot Games to talk about how they're bringing 4 of their games to it was unclear to me if all of them were coming to mobile or if they were just like some of them were coming to mobile and the others were just coming to like Game Pass for PC.
Now, an interesting thing to note, a lot of these reveals at the end, they'll say like available PC, Game Pass, but a lot of them also had cloud as the last thing they were available on. And they didn't really outright talk about, hey, this is what we're offering as far as cloud and this is how it works. But maybe that'll be more explored on Tuesday. There's not been an official video. Like, I've seen a bunch of articles where they've announced stuff where like Samsung TVs are just going to be able to have Microsoft stuff on them now. But I was expecting them to say something about like, hey, you can stream a lot of these games, but they just kind of put the text there and didn't really reference it.
Yeah, I don't remember if we covered it in our previous podcast, but there was an article that came out shortly after our predictions video or podcast where they said that the streaming stick that was rumored has been delayed, but Microsoft is like going to Samsung for to get an app for cloud gaming on through Game Pass on like Samsung TVs. So, I mean, they're getting there. They're starting to push their cloud streaming platform. They're just not quite as far along as Stadia.
I wonder how long it'll take to migrate to, because like my TV has an app store. Like I have Google TV, so like I can go to a Play Store on my TV and like look through apps. So I wonder how long it'll be before I can just download that app. Like, I wonder how long it'll stay exclusive to Samsung TVs.
Yeah, that's the question. I think it was maybe a mistake to make it exclusive to just one manufacturer as opposed to
I'm sure they got
just
a ton of money.
Well, I'm sure they did, but I feel like, because I have an LG TV and they have like apps that you can download. But I always just use like my Android TV set-top box and use that instead. Or I guess they call it Google TV now. But yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't make every effort to get that for Google TV, because I feel like maybe I'm like in my own bubble, but I feel like that's the most common one that everyone uses. But
that makes sense to me. And like, frankly, the more people that have access to it, the more potential Game Pass subscribers you're going to get. So there's no reason not to do it.
Yeah, plus, like, I mean, maybe it's a competition thing. They don't want people to give people a reason to go buy a Chromecast as opposed to their Microsoft streaming stick that they're going to launch eventually. But yeah. I don't know. I just, like, everybody owns, like, 8 Chromecasts by this time. So
yeah.
So
I think I have 5.
It makes sense for them to, I don't know, just get your platform everywhere. Whatever you got to do to make that work.
Yeah.
But anyway, so League of Legends, Valorant, Runeterra, and Teamfight Tactics are all coming to either mobile and or PC or Game Pass for PC. I'm not really super into these games, so this didn't mean much to me, so I didn't pay that close attention to it. But
do you know what I was doing while this was happening? As I was watching that Silksong trailer again.
Well, I was getting excited about Plague Tale Requiem because that's the next thing that they showed, and it's coming this year. I played the first one earlier this year on Game Pass for PC, and I like that game. It's like a stealth game. I think the thing that we learned in this trailer is the main character is just she's not about just hiding anymore. Now she wants to just kill people. Because in the first game, it's definitely more about being stealthy, and like there's a moment where you end up killing somebody at first, and it's like this moment of, oh my gosh, like this is very serious what I just did.
You have a crossbow in this one.
Yeah, and now you're just straight up murdering people.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's kind of the world that you're living in. I mean, you could kill people in the first one, but mostly it was just like, oh, the rats are all over here. If I like extinguish this this lantern over here, this guy's kind of screwed. And so you just do that to make it easier to get past everybody. But definitely stepping that up. So yeah, I'm gonna probably play this game and looking forward to it. Next, they showed Forza Motorsport, which I don't think either of us care about.
No. I mean, it looked very beautiful, but
yeah,
they have to know people don't care about this.
They spent too much time on this.
It's crazy.
I mean, I can't imagine that there are that many people who are like tuning into these press conferences to get a look at the next big like.
It's the same
simulation racing.
It's
game.
Always the same. Yeah, I mean, it's very beautiful to look at, but again, like I don't know, they did not need to spend like 5 minutes on it.
Yeah, they spent too much time. Either way. Next up, they had Flight Simulator. They had 2 pieces of DLC for this. The first one was like showing the Spirit of St. Louis. Seems like maybe like old sort of World War II era planes.
Gliders as well they're adding.
And then at the end of it, they were like, also, here's a Halo Infinite tie-in DLC where you can fly whatever that's called.
Very interesting, yeah. I forget what those are called.
Pelican,
those drop
maybe?
ships.
I don't know.
Yeah, Pelican. I think you're right.
I don't know my Halo lore very well.
That was cool to see. At first, I was like, "Oh, this is just about Halo," but then I realized it was still Flight Simulator stuff.
Yeah, and I thought they were moving on. And I was like, "Oh wait, no, nope, this is still Flight Simulator."
I'm on board. I mean, it's cool. I don't have Flight Simulator, but
I feel like it would melt
like
my
cool
PC
thing.
if I tried to
I'm sure.
run it.
It has real-time weather that is in the real world from satellite data.
My gosh.
It's modeling the real Earth.
Yeah, I don't know if my computer can handle that.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know, like, it seems cool, but also, like, I feel like I would maybe get bored of the simulation aspect of it and just want to, like...
It would be crazy to know that I have somewhat of an ability to fly a commercial airliner, because it is insanely accurate, and you can like the game walks you through learning how to do it. And so, you know, if you put the time in, if you play this for like 100 hours, maybe even less than that.
I mean, I feel like it would take that long to get through like 5 flights.
It could. I mean, very well. It's enticing to me to learn that skill in an environment where I don't have anyone's lives at stake. But,
well, sure, but I mean, this is not going to license you as a pilot.
No, but in a situation,
I was thinking, like, because it's real time, like you said, and like you do get a good view of things, and it would look very cool. And maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm brushing it off a little too quickly, but I was thinking, you know what I do when I'm on a flight? I play Switch games. I don't look out the window and manage things the whole time. I don't know.
It's a good podcast game, probably.
Probably. I don't know. Maybe I should try it just to see what it's actually like, but my impression of like a flight sim,
you might be able to find your house is also something about it.
Yeah, that's true. I was more excited about the next thing because they showed Overwatch 2, and it was a pretty epic trailer that kind of like it goes through all the different characters and kind of gets you nostalgic for Overwatch a little bit. And
there's a new Rockstar character, seems like. Post-apocalyptic Rockstar. Yeah,
the Wastelander new character coming along with Overwatch 2, which I believe they said was going to be in early access starting on October 4th, and it's going to be free to play, at least the PvP. I'm not sure about the PvE stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm more interested in the PvE stuff. I'm not sure if that's launching at the same time. This seemed to be more of a PvP trailer, but either way, I was into it. I like Overwatch. I haven't played it in a while, but I do like it.
It did rekindle my interest a little bit. I was nostalgic for hopping in a match and playing as Tracer and zipping around.
Do you think you would jump back in? Because I feel like maybe it is going to be one of those things where a lot of people are jumping back in, so you can kind of feel okay about not remembering what you're doing.
Yeah, if the player pool raises to the point where a noob like me can get lost in the fray and actually feel like I'm doing well, then I will check it out. Yeah.
I think you'll be all right. But next up, they had Aura History Untold, which I assumed was like a new Age of Empires style game.
That was the girl from The Expanse, right?
Yeah, the narrator was a person who was in The Expanse, and she did a voice in Mass Effect as well. Also
in The Lake House, starring Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock.
Next up, they showed
we're not going to address. It's just a Civilization style game. It seems like neither of us care about it.
We don't. I said I thought it was a new Age of Empires style game, but maybe
I don't know. Yeah, that is what I thought.
That
it was, yeah.
type of a thing. Yeah, it's not really my thing, but yeah.
I thought you were doing that for comedic effect.
I mean, fair enough. Next up, they showed very briefly. They showed ESO High Isles DLC, which just came out on PC and Stadia this last week, and it got me to jump back in. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
I saw somebody I follow
within the last couple hours. You jumped back in?
Well, no. This has been out on PC and Stadia for like a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's coming to consoles next week. But I jumped back in because I saw like some Twitch streamers that I follow had jumped back in. And it's like, oh, didn't know you guys played this, but it made me want to jump back in again. And the nice thing about Stadia is you don't have to re-download the game and all the updates.
It's true.
And so I haven't even touched the new stuff yet, but I'm planning to. I was just running around because I had started a new character. And was running around Vardenfell, which is from the Morrowind DLC, and just did a few quests, and I think I'm back on board. I'm back in.
Really?
And
I have to say, well, keep going.
Oh, I was just gonna say, they make it really easy to just like, it doesn't matter what level you are. It doesn't matter if you just started a new character or if you're playing like a character that you've played for hundreds of hours. You can just like go anywhere and the game will scale to you. So like,
oh really?
You can get this DLC and just like start out from scratch and just go straight into the new stuff, which I think is very smart. It's very good. And I even like, I didn't know this until I looked at it today, but I pulled up a menu and there's like an option for like a guided tour of like the new area, and it was like, it just like flashed up all the things I needed to see. It was like, here, go to this spot and start talking to this person. You can just like go to the new area and just start doing some quests there.
That's a great feature.
It is super nice. They've really like just made this so easy to pick up and get into. So I think I'm going to be playing more of this.
Bethesda really teased us this because they knew what they had, and so they started out with Redfall, and then that was it for a while. Then they brought in Elder Scrolls stuff, and they were just like, everybody was just, I feel like, on pins and needles waiting for them to confirm we will be talking about Starfield. And eventually they were like, hey, later on, get ready for this. Todd Howard's going to be here. And then they moved on. But this was like the second or third thing where they were just like, here's some more Bethesda stuff. We make games, and then maybe we make something else.
Yeah, we got a lot of games. Also, I will say the word Starfield right now. But wait. Todd Howard's going to be here to talk about it later.
Hold your horses.
It's like, okay. But then they went on, they showed the next DLC coming to Fallout 76, returning to the pit from Fallout 3, if you remember that.
I do not.
I played all of those DLCs on Fallout 3, and that one was not my favorite, but I do remember it. And so yeah, that's coming in September. I've considered getting back into Fallout 76 because I hear it's actually good now. And
Really?
like because of all the updates and DLCs they've added with like NPCs and all of this stuff, that people are generally starting to maybe come around on it a little bit, but that could also just be the people who have been playing for hundreds of hours and never quit on it, but who knows. Next up, they showed from Forza Horizon 5 a Hot Wheels DLC coming in July.
This looked pretty cool, I
Yeah.
have to say. I'm not a racing guy, but
I thought
if
the
anything
same.
was going to get me to play a racing game, like this was crazy to see.
Yeah, it reminded me of my childhood with those orange tracks that you could get.
Yeah.
You could make like loop-de-loops, and you'd like hook them all together, and you would like in my basement in my family's house when I was a kid, we had these like stairs, and you could like we'd put the track up at the top, and just like we'd
That's awesome.
send cars down it, and it would go all around. It was very fun, and this reminded me of that. But like, I don't know, it was very cool to see. I don't know
looked
that
cool.
I don't know that I will play it because I'm not a big racing game fan, but this did seem like a very cool thing. Are you a fan of Vin Diesel?
You know, we talked about The Rock last week and how he's kind of fallen from grace. And I feel like Vin Diesel is on the cusp of that. He makes a lot of bad movies, but I feel like he's not as much in the spotlight, like promoting weird energy drinks and stuff like that. I do think he's probably a bad guy, but he's still in the realm of it's funny to look at him and to like see him in things. And so I was excited for this arc thing where he was not involved or consulted with about this trailer because he did not have any voice lines, but his likeness is in this game for some reason. He is riding a T-Rex, it seems like. So I'm all about that. I think that's great. I don't believe this game is coming out anytime soon. I guess it's supposedly coming out within the next 12 months, but I don't know, man. I can't imagine. I don't know what the kind of state this game is in, but
You're anticipating another delay.
I'm anticipating another delay. I'm also anticipating watching people play this and interact with Vin Diesel because I think that's going to be very funny, and a great way to engage with this game is just watching people play it. But who knows? Maybe it'll be fun to play as well. We really don't know anything about it.
Well, I'm confused because isn't it Arc? They flashed up a thing that was like Arc 2023.
Yeah.
Has this game not already been out for a long time?
Arc, the first one, Arc, came out and was big like, man, 5 or 6 years ago, a long time ago. It was like in the early days of like Rust and things like that. It was just another one of those survival games, but it also had big dinosaurs. And so a lot of like Twitch streamers and YouTubers that I follow would start games and just like mess around with dinosaurs because you could get them to like poop and stuff, and it's very funny. I don't know if this is like a reimagining of that game or a sequel or a DLC or just a content pack.
Yeah, because it's
I
not
really have
Arc
no idea.
2, and it's not
No.
like Arc subtitle something other than Survival Evolved. So I don't.
Yeah,
it's just
I really don't know.
Arc the Vin Diesel one is what it's going to be called.
It's unclear to me. I mean, it will launch on Game Pass. That we know for sure, but who can say what that means? Like, it is Arc 2, I believe.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the two blue lines aren't just for aesthetics in the background. It is Arc 2.
Oh, maybe I just didn't look at it very clearly.
They don't make it obvious because it does just look like part of the logo.
Either way, I don't know. Seemed crazy. Next up, they showed another crazy thing, Scorn, coming October 21st. So
Yeah, I did not enjoy this. I stopped eating my pizza when this was on screen.
I don't blame you. I found this disturbing. It's one of those like gore fests, sort of gore horror.
It's like an HR Giger type thing. Everything is alive and organic and has a tongue and teeth, and it's just everything bleeds and is disgusting and grimy. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, it was upsetting. I don't know that I have any interest whatsoever in playing that, but I guess to each their own.
Yeah, I guess.
The next thing I thought was more cool. It was Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn, which is coming early
Yes.
2023.
A lot going on here.
Yeah, I had the min-max stream going, and they were like, kind of reminds me a little bit of, oh gosh, what is that? Oh, Forspoken, but like maybe a less magic based version of that, and
Yeah.
because you're doing like third person, you're kind of sliding around, and they were showing you like sort of jumping through these portal things like through the air, so it seemed like maybe there's some sort of like ability to grapple around through the air.
Most importantly, the thing we haven't talked about yet is you have a magical, cute little fox creature with you. And it seems like it gives you all of your abilities. Like when you go through those things in the air, you kind of like merge with your fox, and then both of you become sort of energy and fly through this thing. And then the very last part of the trailer is like you just hanging out with this little fox guy, and he's like very cute and has a tail, and he's like an amalgamation of a bunch of different animals, it seems like, but mostly a fox. But yeah, it's I was into this. I didn't hate this. It was I'm interested.
I thought the same. I was kind of into it as well, and I it was one of those games that I was like, I don't know if I would rush out and buy this, but if it's coming to Game Pass, I would definitely download it and play it. And so there's that. It's a good reason to have Game Pass. They did show more. I don't know if it was a different trailer or what, but they had this at the PC Game Show that aired
did they?
Just after the Xbox Bethesda Showcase.
Okay.
So I don't, maybe go watch that if you want a little bit more. I think they had one of the developers on to talk a little bit about it as well. So check that out if you're interested in that kind of game. I thought it looked kind of cool.
I did too. I agree.
So I have never played Minecraft, but I know you have. Are you interested?
Quite recently, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because there's new DLC.
The Wild update came out, which includes some new biome things. The Warden is now here, which is very scary. Yeah, this is interesting. At first, I thought it was an RTS, which I was more interested in, like a kind of an Age of Empires, but in the Minecraft universe.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
That I think is that would be interesting. But this appears to be more. I actually don't know what this is. Like it kind of reminded me of a MOBA.
An action strategy game, whatever that means.
So like you have a character, but you're also kind of like farming smaller characters to do your bidding, almost Pikmin-esque, sort of. It seemed like. I really don't know. You're what did they say? You're uniting the overworld. I assume to go against the Nether, but I don't know. It's confusing to me. I really did think this was something that it was not when they were showing it initially, and then they showed actual gameplay, and I don't know. You're like always on a horse, it seems like, and you're rallying people around you. It's confusing to me. I'm not really sure what to make of it, actually. But
it had more of a cell shaded art style to it as well.
Yeah, it was very painterly.
But yeah, so Minecraft Legends, that's coming in 2023. I think I would be more interested in that Minecraft Dungeons game than maybe that one. But
yeah, I agree.
I never played the Minecraft Dungeons. It's out though. I can play it. I just haven't gotten around to it. I think it might even be on Game Pass.
I think you're right, actually.
So I don't know what my excuse is. So next up, they had a game called Lightyear Frontier. Some sort of space-aged farming simulator where you use a mech.
What did you think of this? It seems like you can play it with your friends.
It seemed kind of cool, actually. I'm not like super into like farming games, even though I do kind of like Stardew Valley. I'm not super into that particular style of game, but people play them obsessively, so I feel like this is an interesting take on that style of game.
Yeah, I'm looking at gameplay of it again right now. It seems cool. It kind of reminds me a little bit, just like the way that it looks, of like a Satisfactory kind of, which I was very into. This is definitely, you're not gonna have the automation like Satisfactory, but I also don't believe it's like randomly generated. Like Satisfactory was always the same map, so you could know like where resources were every time. This seems, I think, probably like it's going to be the same map every time, just a large one, and there's like some sort of mystery you're unraveling as well as just living there. Like there's a larger narrative you're taking part in, which is interesting to me.
Yeah.
I might actually check this out.
It did seem like there was some sort of additional story that was happening. So it wasn't just straight farming. There was something else also that you were sort of uncovering as you go.
Yeah.
But it was very bright and colorful. It had a good art style. I don't know. I kind of thought it looked pretty good.
I agree.
So next up, I never played this. Did you ever play Gunfire Reborn?
Yes, actually. We downloaded it, I think, because it was on Steam sale, or I think even when it's not on Steam sale at the time, because it was in early access, it was like less than $20. So me and two of my friends downloaded it, and it was pretty fun. It was a roguelite, so like the three of us would load into the first zone, and then you're collecting guns, and each of the guns have like weird, interesting powers. And then you progress to a boss area, and then if you beat the boss, you go to the next area and kind of rinse and repeat. But it was fun to play with friends. At the time, I think there were only 2 or 3 characters available, and only a handful of guns. And I think they've just been adding more content to it since I ran updates on that game. But I'm sure there's a ton of new content. I really, it's very fun to play with friends, I will say. But I don't know if I would play it solo.
Yeah, so it's a first-person shooter roguelike game it's already out on PC, but I think it's coming to console is maybe what this
there was a
announcement
console
was?
Exclusive for Xbox.
Okay, and that's coming in October of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
which is great. It's a great little game.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I know like it was very hot there for a while where a lot of people were playing it for like a week or two, and then I haven't heard about it since, so... but then next up, they had a game that I thought actually looked kind of interesting. The Last Case of Benedict Fox.
Yes, this is a Metroidvania, but a very unique setting for one.
Yeah, sort of dark, ghostly Victorian era, maybe.
Yeah.
And you seem to be in this like, I don't know. It's almost like a mansion, but like you explore downstairs, or I don't know, the mansion is like turns into some like weird ghostly thing that you're exploring.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this actually. I think it looks really cool, and I love a Metroidvania, so this looks like a pretty solid, or at least a very unique one. Like usually Metroidvanias you have like a gun or a sword or something, but this one you're just like a dude.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. You also seem to have like a dark passenger with you. Who is like in your head all the time, but the art style is very cool. You can double jump, which I always like. I'm into this. I thought this was a standout, unique one.
Yeah, this was also one of the standouts for me. It was I don't know. I can't tell based on the trailer whether you're like doing very much combat. It seems like maybe sometimes you are, and there's at one point where it looks like he's starting to get these like dark powers of some sort.
Yeah.
And it seems like maybe he has a gun, and I don't know. I was very into this one. That's coming spring 2023. So I'll definitely keep an eye out for this one.
I'm going to add that to my wish list, frankly.
For sure. It's coming to Game Pass, so I will definitely play it. And then next up, this seemed kind of weird to me. They showed a game called As Dusk Falls, which is coming July 19th. Had some sort of unique motion graphic style, I think is what they called it.
I don't believe you're going to be able to play this. I think this is just like a thing you're going to watch.
Yeah.
And every once in a while,
like a decision will pop up.
There's like an A/B that you can do, and you're probably not going to have any idea what the ramifications of that are. And then it'll just happen, and I don't know. I'm not as into these like visual novel style games. So this was a pass for me.
Same. It seemed like maybe just a different take on like that Telltale style of story-driven game. Yes,
I agree. Well, with those, at least you get to walk around a little bit.
True. There's a little bit more actual interaction with the game. They said the town was called Turok, but I kept hearing it as Turok. But
now that is a game I would play.
Next up, they showed Naraka Blade Point, which I guess is just now coming to console. This came out on PC last year. And
I thought it sounded familiar, but I had not ever... It's interesting. It's an interesting idea, Battle Royale, where you have like swords and sorcery and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But not something I've ever picked up.
Yeah, it's supposed to have crossplay with PC. coming June 23rd. Also coming to Game Pass, but yeah, I don't know if I'm like Battle Royales enough to want to check this out. But the next thing was another one that was kind of a standout for me. This is Pentiment, I think is how you say it.
Yes, another interestingly designed or an interesting aesthetic for sure.
Yeah, so this is, I believe it was from Obsidian, which
Yes,
I
you're
really
right.
like Obsidian games. And like, what a weird style for them. Like, you expect
Yeah.
them to do like something big, third person, like action adventure style game, like RPGs. And instead, they do this like kind of quirky little like side scrolling sort of storybook looking game with a really unique sort of hand drawn, almost like colored pencil art style.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was really into this. It's supposed to be a narrative adventure.
Yeah, the discourse I saw online was that it's Obsidian's take on a Disco Elysium style game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool to me.
Yeah.
So I will definitely check this out when it comes out in November. And then they did also show from Obsidian Grounded, which is that sort of Honey I Shrunk the Kids style game where you're
Yeah, I
like,
thought that was already out. I guess it was maybe just in beta or early access.
yeah, I think it was like some sort of early preview state where the game was out. It was unclear to me because I also thought it was already out, but but yeah, it seems like your kids running around as tiny people because you've been shrunken down, and so you're like fighting insects. It seems like, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but and then they showed, I don't know how you say this, Ereban Shadow Legacy was some sort of stealth game.
Yeah. You can kind of traverse the world through shadows if you want to, and you're kind of just, I guess, taking out robots for some reason. It was interesting.
Yeah, I did think it kind of looked cool, but I'm not sure like what to make of it. Like, is it like level based? Is it,
Yeah, I don't know.
open world? Like, what is the game?
I'd be interested to see more. I like a stealth game, I have to say.
Yeah.
So this could be one I would check out.
I also like stealth games, so definitely one to keep an eye out for, I guess. And then they spent a good amount of time on Diablo 4. They showed a trailer that unveiled the new class, which is Necromancer, which is already out in Diablo Immortal, I believe. Which, by the way,
Really?
Diablo Immortal,
Not having a great week.
not having a great week at all. So, like, when I initially started playing it, I was like, the gameplay is not too bad, actually. And it is, like, fully voiced, and there's kind of a lot of, like, quests happening here. But people have since gotten to the end game and have realized just how pay to win it is. And I think there was, like, an article that, like, somebody did the calculation and realized it would cost, like, over $10,000 or something to like get a fully leveled character, and it's just like a lot of bad press for that game
Yeah.
in the last couple
I'm getting
of
a lot of
weeks.
TikToks of like Twitch people showing how truly pay to win it is.
Yeah, so it has really not looking good, and I think what everyone really wanted was Diablo 4. So yeah, I don't know if they've damaged the brand with Diablo Immortal or if people are still excited about this, but it did look kind of good to me. I mean, it's an open world game where there's not really any linear path. You just like go around and do quests and level up. They said there's nearly 150 dungeons, and it seems like they're going for sort of a Destiny style like shared world situation where you have these
yeah.
like patrol spaces where there are big like world bosses to take down, and there's supposed to be crossplay between PC and console. I'm not like a big Diablo person, but I kind of liked the gameplay of Diablo Immortal, but I don't want to keep playing it because of all the like nasty microtransaction stuff. So I think maybe I'll just wait, and maybe I will end up picking this up when it comes out, Diablo 4, and I'll play that instead. But then they showed a trailer for Sea of Thieves just to say that, hey, the next season is going to start in July. That's a game that I thought was cool. And then I was a little disappointed when I actually played it because I thought it was going to be a little bit more Destiny-like, and it's definitely not that.
They seem to be adding stuff all the time for it. I have it, and I played it, I think, last summer for a little bit and had a good time with it, but it was mainly just like messing around with my friends. And then I think they've been adding to it pretty regularly, so who knows? Maybe it will be a good time to jump back in July. I don't know.
I was going to say, has it gotten good at questing?
A little bit better. I think this is a big step. So they showed that you can now like save loadouts, like save ships and name ships, which I think is a big step forward. Because like every time you would load in, it was kind of like you were starting fresh a little bit. But I think this is a great step in like continuing your pirate's journey, like session to session, which I think is cool and a good idea. Frankly, should have been there sooner.
Yeah, it seems like something that should have been there from the start. Like, I know they had that Pirates of the Caribbean DLC at one point. Is that still around, or was that like season specific?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure how to activate that. That happened after I stopped playing.
Yeah, I've been curious from afar with this game, but I also know it's one of those games that like it's pretty much designed specifically to be played with like a group of other people, and that it's not really designed to be played solo. So
yeah,
I've just like not picked it up. But next up, they showed a game called Ravenlock. Did this stand out to you?
Yeah, this was interesting. It's kind of like a voxel third-person adventure game. I didn't hate this. This was interesting to look at.
It's almost giving me a little bit of what was that third-person game that I played last year?
The dice one?
Yeah, that one. I keep wanting to say Little Nightmares, but that was not what it was.
It was called like Perfect Six. It was something. It was a pun on dice, I think. Jump into chaos, or something about like random chance. Random.
Lost in Random.
Jump into random. Lost in Random.
There you go. Yeah, so it reminds me a little bit of that, just because it almost has a little bit of a Tim Burton-esque style to like the creatures.
I can see that, yeah.
And you are like a little girl running around with like a sword and shield. So maybe you're trapped in sort of a storybook-like world. I don't know. I was not anti this game.
Yeah, it seemed fine. It was a cool art style, and I like a third-person adventure with like interesting weapons and skills. So I could check this out.
And then next up, they showed a game called Cocoon.
Yes. I thought this was Somerville at first, because they said like from the makers of Limbo.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But then it is not that, but I'm still super interested in it. It looks really cool. You're like a little dude with wings, and you're moving balls around, and it's like a little puzzle system. I'm all about this, actually. I think I will definitely play this.
Yeah, the music seemed great, and you're it's like a puzzle game where you're moving balls around, and you seem to be going into them. And it's like opening like another section where there's like more puzzles to do. And so you're going like layers deep, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it.
I'm interested, for sure. I think it looks really cool.
Me too. And then they showed a game from Team Ninja, the developer of Neo, called Wulong Fallen Dynasty. It's coming in early 2023. I assume that this is sort of a little bit of that like Dark Souls difficulty style of game, but in a different setting.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, this looked interesting. I don't think we got any gameplay. It was mostly a cinematic. But it seems crazy. There's like a crazy one-eyed dragon that is like people are eating red orbs that are maybe transforming them into demons. I'm interested in this. Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting.
This is one of those games that I would maybe watch someone play. I don't know if I will
We
play
don't really
it.
know what it. I mean, I would assume it is a third-person action game, but there's no way to know.
I assume it's very Neo-esque, but in a
Yeah.
different setting. And then they showed something I was very excited about because I had predicted that they were going to unveil Persona 6 and that it was going to be cross-platform, or it would be on all the consoles. And it would be a huge deal because Atlas was finally bringing Persona to Xbox and like Switch and everything else instead of just keeping it exclusive to PlayStation. And it wasn't quite that, but they did say that they are bringing Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal to Xbox and PC. And I know it's an Xbox thing, but I wanted them to also say, oh, also on Switch. but maybe that announcement will come if Nintendo decides to do a Nintendo Direct at some point. But this was cool. I assume coming to Game Pass. It did say coming to Game Pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great that more people will be able to play Persona 5 because that game is
I was excited
so
for you
good.
when this happened. Yeah, I figured you would be into this.
Yeah, I've been meaning to play that game again to actually finish it because I never actually finished it. I played a ton of it, but it's like such a long game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very cool to me. I'm very excited about it. So I highly recommend taking the time to play Persona 5. I haven't played the other two. Maybe I should do that, but
Yeah, I wonder how similar they are.
I've heard very good things about Persona 4 Golden, but I don't know much about Persona 3. Either way, actually, Persona 4 Golden I feel like is pretty cheap on Steam these days, so I could play it on the Steam Deck. So, and I think there was an article that came out where it is actually like approved for the Steam Deck. So,
load it up, man.
I know. If I didn't have a million other things to play, I would definitely put some time into that. Next up, they brought out Hideo Kojima.
Yes.
To say, we are working on a project. That's it. That's all they say.
So I read that like someone tried to leak his game, or it maybe was even a journalist that wrote an article about his game. And they like reached out, Kojima's company reached out and was like, hey, could you remove this article? Because we don't want anyone to know about this. But I intentionally did not read that article, so I don't know what the new game is about. But it's exciting he's making a brand new game. And it's weird to me. I mean, I guess he probably got money for appearing on this countdown of games, but it's weird to me he didn't show up in Keely's thing at all. Like, Keely even tweeted a picture of him like doing a Zoom call with Kojima, but he's just at Microsoft now. So I guess he's done with Sony for a while.
Which is confusing because, Norman Reedus said that they were working on the next one, not necessarily referring to Death Stranding 2. We assumed it was Death Stranding 2, but maybe he's just making an exclusive with Microsoft that also happens to star Norman Reedus.
Very well could. I wouldn't put it past him. He's a weird guy. And I wish we could have seen at least like a frame or some concept art, but we really don't know what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't even have a name.
True. I don't know. Nothing we can really take from that. So it's, and I feel like it was already known that Kojima was working on a game for Microsoft. So I feel like this didn't really tell us anything we didn't already know. Maybe that was just rumored and not confirmed, and this was just confirmation. I don't know. Confusing to me. Either way. Next up, they got into what we've all been waiting for, Starfield. So Todd Howard came out.
Talk about it.
And
looking great, looking very tan, wearing his leather jacket.
Had a matching like brown leather shoes to go with his leather jacket this time. It was great.
Very well dressed, very fit. Probably went to the gym a couple of times before this.
And yeah, what did you think of all of this?
Very exciting stuff. Highlights, just like top level stuff. You can customize your ship. You can fly your ship. You can have your crew be working in the ship.
Yeah, so he said it seemed like maybe
interesting.
there's some No Man's Sky style resource gathering because he was using like
Yes.
a gun to like mine some resources on the planet.
Yeah.
It did seem like it was not super high frame rate, which I think is one of my concerns about the game.
Mhm.
There is something about that engine there's just a little bit of jank to a point where the frame rate, I feel like it's always stuck at 30 at highest, and sometimes that can, like, I don't know, gives me a little bit of a headache. I'm hoping that doesn't happen with Starfield, but that's
Now,
happened with some of the like Fallout games in the past.
I don't think we have an answer yet for if you do have to load into interiors of buildings.
That's not definitive yet.
Not definitive. As you approached they did kind of like a mini mission where you had to go to a base and there were pirates there. As you approached the base, it seemed like you would just walk right into it, but it did fade in and out briefly, and then you were inside the base. So I don't know if they were doing that to cover up the fact that you had to load into that instance, or
It's true.
or what.
It's definitely
Also,
not definitive.
they showed you disembarking from your ship, but that could have very well been the cargo area of your ship. And when you click into the ship proper, there might be a loading screen. So we didn't see that. We know that there is an interesting conversation system that they talked about. They referenced using Oblivion as kind of a template for that, where there's a kind of a mini game for when you're talking to people. We did not see any of that.
There was a mini game for the lockpick, though.
Yes, that was great, and I'm excited to do that 1,000 times throughout the game.
Yeah, because you definitely will.
That seems cool. I'm into that. I don't know if you need a special item to do that or what allows you to. I'm sure there's a lockpicking skill. I haven't looked at any deep dives in this yet, but another thing I wanted to see is the skill tree, and we did get to see that. And it is they made it very cool to look at. It's like patches on what would be like a star, like a uniform. So every perk or skill is like a little badge. There's like a gun one that is like a little octopus holding a bunch of guns. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of videos dissecting like everything that you see in that, all the different badges and what they could mean, and everything that was on screen for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, and they made it sound a little bit like Skyrim, where it's like you unlock a skill and then you rank that skill up by using it.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I always like that in like the Elder Scrolls games.
Saw a very cool shotgun, a very futuristic shotgun that I thought was cool. All the guns look really like interesting and unique, and kind of almost like they looked in Cyberpunk, where they're like very bare bones. Like some of the tech weapons in Cyberpunk were just like kind of just like square prisms that had wires on them. I thought that was very cool. All of the art design is like top notch.
Yeah, for sure. And it seemed like maybe there's like some Fallout style like crafting for where you can like sort of craft a little bit of like a mod or like upgrades to the different weapons. They kind of showed like, putting a different magazine type on like the pistol or whatever. So it seems like maybe you can take what they did with Fallout 4's crafting system for like upgrading weapons and sort of translate that into Starfield. And so they showed a jetpack as well.
Showed a jetpack. That was very cool. Speaking of Fallout 4, something I kind of was not into in Fallout 4 was base building. I did not engage with that at all.
I didn't either.
Because I did not have time for that. That's not what I'm looking for. But I guess you can build a base in this. What I'm more interested in is customizing your ship, because
I feel like I will do that in this game.
Yeah, I'm unclear if like you can add interior compartments to your ship. It did seem like you can customize. Like there was one ship that looked kind of bare bones and like utilitarian. One of them looked like all white, almost like the inside of like a Mass Effect style ship. It looked very cool. There's even like you can look at your ship on a grid and take things off of it and put things on it, and it's going to increase the way it handles its weapons. It's like the amount of cargo that it can contain. That seems very, very cool to me. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I like you. I'm not super into like the base building in Fallout, but and I don't know that I will do much with the base building in Starfield, but I will definitely like make my ship and customize that because they did actually show some of the flight. Like I remember there was a rumor that like a former Bethesda like developer said that the flying seemed not good. So hopefully they've fixed that up. So to actually see it, and I wonder how like crafting your ship or customizing it, how that will affect like space battles, because it does seem like you're
Yeah.
flying around getting into space battles.
I don't love space battles, I have to say, but I am interested in the fact that you can fly. So let's talk about this. They talked about all this. We went through a mission, and then Todd Howard came back and he was like, "Let's talk about how big this game really is. You can land anywhere on any of these planets, and there's like 1,000 planets, which is crazy. And I don't understand how that works or what that means."
Yeah, I think they were trying to go for the No Man's Sky thing. I have my doubts that you'll just hop in your ship, fly up into space, and just like fly to the next, planet, in the same way you do in No Man's Sky.
He said you could land anywhere on those planets.
Well, yeah, I just mean like I feel like there's gonna be a loading screen between them.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So it will not be like one to one with what No Man's Sky is doing, but yeah, so you can even if it's I think that Jacob Geller guy mentioned this on the MinMax as they were watching through this, and he was like, they will probably only use like 20 of the planets for like the story quests, but it's just the idea that you can go to any of them if you want to makes space actually feel larger than maybe it actually is.
It's like what they did in Mass Effect 1. I mean, there were only like, 10 or so planets that interesting things were on, but you could drop the Mako on any number of weird planets and there's not really anything there. Like one in like 50 would maybe have a giant worm on there, or you would find just like a weird animal that you could just look at and just like look around for a chest somewhere that you could unlock. But I think that's a really cool idea, even if it's not super well populated. I'm sure there's going to be, there's infinite Easter eggs and things like that in Skyrim. So you've got to imagine that a lot of these like 1,000 worlds have just like one small thing that people years and years from now will be finding and posting on Reddit, like, hey, look at this weird planet that I found. This is definitely a reference to like Hollow Knight Silksong or something.
It's true. Yeah. I wonder if you're going to be able to go there and like find like these crazy dungeons there that have like weird boss fights, then they drop like insane loot or something like that.
Yeah.
And people will
It's
be like
interesting.
posting in the subreddit talking about, you got to go to this planet and this system and, go find this guy.
I wonder how much the resource management is going to, like, because you definitely were mining iron at that point. Like, I wonder how much of it is going to be collecting raw minerals and what they're going to be used for.
Yeah. And
like just for crafting, or I don't know.
Well, yeah, because you're building your own outpost and you're building your own ship. So I feel like, like there are tons of people who got like super obsessive about building their homes in Fallout, and probably spent like 100 hours just doing that, like separate to any of the story quests.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
So if you can build a giant outpost in this game on like one of the planets, or any number of the planets, and you can build a crazy ship, but you have to like really explore these planets to like gather the resources necessary to do that. I feel like people will be playing this for so long just doing that.
Yeah. What do you think of the UI? Did you like the fact that you always sort of had a mini map on screen?
I wonder if you can turn that off, but yeah, it seems like, I don't remember. It wasn't just like the compass, it was more like an actual mini map.
Yeah, in the bottom left hand corner, there's a circle, which I believe it's supposed to look like the watch that you have, and that will be part of your
Oh yeah,
pre-order
yeah. No,
special
I
edition.
remember that now. Yeah,
And it says like the name of the planet, and I think it has like some other stats on it, but it also has is like an indicator of like where enemies are and like also objectives, I believe.
I mean, I feel like that's just like your heads-up display from whatever helmet you have on. Do you
Yeah.
think like how customizable do you think your suit's gonna be? Like, are you gonna be getting different like armored
Oh yeah.
suits? And
I think so. Here's something else they talked about. We haven't talked about this. They showed character creation,
yeah, they said it was their
and
most
it looks like
flexible yet. You can customize
yeah,
every aspect of your character, including like your background and like 3 starting skills. And
yes,
you also have like optional traits with like advantages and disadvantages, and they will maybe also like affect how you level your character, going forward. So
yeah.
very interesting.
Very interesting. I'm excited. I've only watched the trailer one time. I've watched the Silksong one like 5 times, but I need to go frame by frame and just look at
Oh
like
yeah, I want to watch like
everything
an
that was on
hour
screen for
long
like 2 seconds.
breakdown of everything in this
Yes,
trailer.
that will be exciting to watch because like they showed so much stuff in that character creation segment of just like all of the like some of the traits that you can have
Yeah.
and what they mean and descriptions and
I did
I'm
want
very
to.
interested to
I
comb through all
definitely
that.
wanted to freeze frame every screen of that just to like
Yeah,
try to read everything that was on it, but I was just letting the footage happen. But yeah, so you can also like as you're building your ship and you're building your outposts, you can like hire characters
yeah.
to help keep them up and running, which I thought was interesting. So are you like building a team and you have like maybe a follower that you go with you? That's pretty standard issue Bethesda stuff.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense to me.
but then you can also like hire people separately to like man your outpost, and then maybe you can like return to them and be like, hey, come with me on this mission.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I wonder how many people you can
I'm not
hire.
sure.
Is it like a Watch Dogs Legion type of a thing where you have just like a
I
ton of
think
people
yeah.
to choose from? You'd be like, all right, now you're part of my crew. Let's go.
I think it's probably a mix of the two where there are specific people that will have storylines and will become like true companions. And then there's also going to be those like not randomly generated, but kind of cookie cutter people that will fill in the background roles that maybe have like, uh, written backstories, but you're never going to go on like loyalty missions for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you will. I don't know. But I think there's going to be a distinction between like true companions and just other people you can hire.
Yeah, they were not specific about this, so this is just us speculating at this point. But
Yeah.
I would love it if they have some like fully written ones that do have like loyalty missions, but then you also
Yeah.
have the option to have like additional characters that you know maybe aren't as like fully fleshed out as those other characters, but they're still interesting to have around.
What else? Yeah, what else stood out to you?
So we know this is coming next year, but we don't know exactly when. We can assume
Within 12 months.
Within 12 months, so probably spring next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked everything I saw about this. I think this pretty much delivered on like all my hopes and expectations for this. It is maybe exactly everything I wanted. So, and maybe more than I
Yes.
was expecting and more than I was even wanting. So,
I hope that I am so curious to know when we're going to get more information about this because I'd love to just do another long segment where we just learn more about the systems in this game.
yeah.
I wonder if that will be Tuesday or if we're going to have to wait longer for that. I think if not Tuesday, I think we're definitely going to get more information about this. Well, I don't know. Do you think they would show up at the Game Awards? I guess they're
That's what
going to
I
need
was
to
going
eventually
to
announce a
say.
release date.
I was going to say, I have the feeling that they're going to let this one sit for a while and let people
Yeah.
just dissect it for months on end. We
Yeah.
probably won't see more about this other than maybe some of those little like dev diary videos they've been doing. Probably won't see anything else until the Game Awards. And
Game
hopefully once they show it then, it'll come with a release date.
I think that's sound. I think that's wise. Yeah.
Um,
Still though, great to see. I have to say, this is if anybody else was, I don't think anybody else is doing a press conference on this level. Like,
yeah, for sure. No.
PlayStation's was like 28 minutes and was just kind of a snore, and then Summer Games Fest was fine, but nothing on the scale of this. This had so many interesting things.
To be honest, I think Summer Games Fest was even more of a snore than the PlayStation one. It was just more drawn out because it was longer.
Yeah.
I mean, you asked me when we did our recording on that what grade I would give it, and I said a B because I was being generous, but I mean, maybe that one I would, in retrospect, I would knock it down even further. Especially if you're giving it on like just the A scale, but if you're going with the gamery S scale, I feel like
yes, S tier.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the Xbox Bethesda one is closer to S tier for sure.
S for Silksong.
Well, yeah, I mean it had Silksong, so I guess you have to give it an S, but. But no, I mean, I liked so much of what they showed in this. I mean, there was stuff I wasn't expecting that I really liked, and there was, I mean, it didn't have your core tenets of like, you know,
it had kind of. I mean, the Starfield stuff kind of functioned as a one more thing, even though they didn't play the game of saying like, oh, also, what's this? But I mean, it was the last thing they showed. And I think a lot of the times when I say the one more thing, I guess what I'm really saying is they have a strong closer. And this definitely did. They definitely had stuff in the middle. The only thing they were lacking was the first thing, although it technically was, they technically did have my first thing of something in the beginning where you're not sure what it is, and then it slowly reveals what it is. Because we didn't know initially it was going to be Redfall, but we pretty quickly figured that out. It's just not something we care about.
Yeah.
So it really did have my core tenets. It just, that first one we didn't really care about, but it did have all the reels in the middle, and it basically had the one more thing. Just they didn't really call it that or like treat it like that. But it had a great closer.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm coming away from this with games that I'm definitely going to add to my wish list, which is another strong...
There's at least like 4 that I had never heard of before that I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely check this out.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this is probably the highest note that there's going to be, unless they manage to top themselves with the next one that they do on Tuesday.
Or, I mean, it could be that this is the week, Monday morning, Nintendo of America tweets like, hey, join us tomorrow for an hour-long direct.
Yeah,
you never know.
That's true. That's not off the table. And if they do that, they could always go, here's like a deep dive on sequel to Breath of the Wild.
Here's also footage from our new Donkey Kong game.
Man, if they did,
the makers of Mario Odyssey.
If they did both of those in one show, I mean, that would definitely give this Xbox Bethesda Showcase a run for its money.
That would make it a tricky call, but you're right. For now, this is miles ahead of anything we've seen and probably will see. So I'm comfortable saying this is probably going to win the fake E3, whatever we're calling fake E3.
Yeah. It seems like the apocalypse has arrived.
Oh, I can hear some sirens in the background. Yeah. Are they coming for you?
I don't know.
Our takes are too hot.
The takes have gotten too hot, and we must shut it down because it is the whole building's on fire with our hot takes.
The coverage isn't over yet, folks, because I have to watch the PC game show. You've already watched some of it, Zach, but I'm going to watch it after this. And then also the Tuesday thing is going to happen. And then who knows what Nintendo's doing, but maybe they will have something. So we'll be back with a regular episode next week where I assume we're just going to be wrapping up. I've definitely been keeping a list of things that we haven't talked about yet that I'm interested in taking a look at. And by next week, we'll know we'll have done the deep dives on Starfield. So we'll know more about that we can talk about. But
yeah,
for now, I think, was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think we can maybe wrap up and talk about some of the other highlights from the other shows that we haven't addressed yet later.
We'll have like a post. It's a bummer that there is not like a definitive thing to call this. Everyone just keeps saying fake E3. because no one, I think, really likes the Summer Games Fest moniker, because IGN also has the Summer of Gaming, so it's very confusing.
Yeah. That did
but
throw
whatever
me
this
off
fake
a little
E3
bit.
is, we'll talk about it as a whole, talk about some of our hidden favorites next week. But I think it's gonna do it for this special edition of the podcast.
Yeah, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Starside Cafe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.